Well, hello, fellas. It is I, Jaffe. I was the director, lead designer, lead writer on the first God of War, creative director on the second God of War, made a bunch of other games. This is the first episode, or actually a preview of the first episode of Jaffe Plays Jaffe, where I go back and play and do director's commentary on titles that I worked on in the business. We're starting with God of War, and this is what we did the other week for members. This is the Hydra level, but before we get to the Hydra level, I talk about the inspiration of God of War, and that is sort of what this edited version is for you to see. If you are interested in the entire Jaffe Plays Jaffe, we'll go through God of War. We just played a Twisted Metal fan game last week. We do interviews on the membership. Check out the membership video and check out the membership link below this video to see if this might be for you. But regardless, this video is about the biggest title I've ever worked on, probably ever will work on, where it came from, what its inspirations were, and the beginnings of the Hydra level that we talk about with the director's commentary. I hope you're well. Thanks for watching. Hit me up in the comments with any questions, ideas, thoughts, issues, and there you go. Enjoy the video. Let me know what you think. Be well. God of War was about me wanting power. And I don't mean power like I wanted to run the earth or anything, but I mean in terms of, I think everybody in their 20s is trying to plant their flag and go, what the fuck is my life about? And what am I going to do? And am I going to have success? And I could really, at the time, Kratos really, not that I want to hurt people, but I could vibe with that. I understood that character and it was very relevant to me at the time. And then you get some success and you get some power, such as it is in 2025 or whenever, and it's you're satiated on that. Twisted Metal always remains close to me, I think, because that's about that kind of version of me or part of me that's a little bit crazy and a little bit off, which I adore that part of me. But that doesn't go anywhere with age. That doesn't go anywhere with time. So that's still rolling along, which is probably why that one is more near and dear to my heart. But I still adore this one. And I want to talk a little bit about how we got here first. These are the inspirations. These four things are the main inspirations for the game that we're about to see. There is no God of War without Ray Harryhausen, who he didn't direct it, but he was the effects guy on Clash the Titans, but also Jason and the Argonauts, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. My dad took me to those movies as a kid. Funnily enough, as I've said to many people who follow this channel, Raiders of the Lost Ark was the movie that changed my life and made me go, I want to do creative work for a living. It was transformative when I saw that. I never knew until much, much later, even though both of these movies were 81 summer, May, June movies. Clash of the Titans came out on the exact same goddamn day as Raiders of the Lost Ark. What about that? What do you know about that? And also, there are two video games, The Mask of the Sun and Adventure on the Atari. These were transformative as well. I am going to do a full playthrough right now of Adventure on Atari, but you know what? It's only going to last a minute and a half because that's how short it was. But it took us days to figure it out when it first came out. And this game was really, if you're talking graphics, obviously Zork and whatnot came before, but this was the first game I had ever played that was a multi-screen adventure. Most of the games that we had on the Atari and in the arcades were single screen. And so, you know, you'd get past stage one of Donkey Kong, you go to stage two. But as you'll see, these screens are connected. And it was the first time that I ever really got my head around the idea that you could have adventures inside of a video game. And that was just the most amazing thing ever. So I am going to play the entire playthrough right now, which again is a minute and 36 seconds of Adventure, just so we have a little context of what the fuck I'm talking about. And I'll talk to you guys on the other side. Here we go. You can only carry one item at a time. That was your sword right there. That's the duck, but it's also a dragon. The green dragon was the tamest of all the dragons. And you were trying to get into the Black Castle to get the golden chalice and bring it back to the gold castle. In this case, he has a dot. What the fuck was the dot? What the hell's the dot? I don't even remember that. Is he going for the secret? No, the secret... Oh, wait. Oh, is he going for the Easter egg? I don't even fucking remember what the dot was. Yeah, here's the dot. I'm a fucking moron. He's the dot. Okay, you're the dot. Sorry. That's how long ago this was. You got to be the dot. But if you, by the way, the first Easter egg kind of ever, at least that we know of, was right in this room. And I won't bore you tonight with the details about how you get it, but if you figured out the puzzle, you could go through this wall and you would see created by, I think it was Warren Robinette, who was the developer of this game. Look, we're halfway through with the Let's Play. That's how fast this game is. So he goes over with the black key. I mean, this was my kid generation version of Zelda. That's a magnet. There's the chalice. That was the shit, baby. You can use the magnet to pull the bridge and things towards you if you want. And it was one button, one stick to play this game. This was our Elden Ring, you son of a bitch. But, you know, that's it. Now, unfortunately, because I'm sure you caught that where you go into the castle at the end and it's flashing like a rainbow. It was very woke. It was very, very woke, even back then. But, I just can't overstate how amazing it was for us to be able to play a game that really felt like an adventure. And the title was perfect. It's adventure, right? So that was hugely inspirational. And then the other thing, and I will not show you the whole playthrough of this one. Let's go to the next screen. Was Mask of the Sun. And this obviously I'll just play this while we're talking real quick. But this was a game that came out, I think, the second year or the year after Indiana Jones came out. And like I said, Indiana Jones was an absolute huge inspiration, and it really did change my life. And Mask of the Sun is you play this adventurer named Max Steel, and you just go journeying to find, lo and behold, the Mask of the Sun. And it's a typing game. It's not a typing game like, Mavis Bacon or whatever her name was, but you interact through the keyboard saying, look at the flute, play the flute, get the gem, put the gem in the statue, look at the map, blah, blah, blah. And again, this was the second time I had played a video game where I was like, this feels like I am going on this amazing adventure. I was 13 or 12, maybe 11, somewhere in that age. And I lost myself in this fucking video game. I was amazed by the fact that I could leave my world behind, which was a fine world, growing up in Alabama, loving parents and everything. But I could leave it behind and I could go have these adventures in the computer. So all of this stuck with me, obviously. And then it was time after Twisted Metal Black, which, by the way, when I was gearing up for this Jaffe Plays Jaffe, I found some really early Twisted Metal Black stuff when we do Twisted Metal Black on the channel, and that's going to be amazing. At least I think it's amazing. I haven't seen it in decades, but this was Mask of the Sun, and then it came around to going, okay, Twisted Metal is complete. Twisted Metal Black. I helped out on Kinetica for a couple of months, and then it was like, okay, Jaffe, what do you want to make? And we spent probably 4 or 5, 6 months coming up with concepts. And I want to show you a couple of those and just sort of the process. But this was, and I thought I had lost it, but I found the original design document. I need to send one to a guy, Captain Loudpunk, and I thought I had lost it in the move, but I found it, and I'm going to send it to him now that I found it again. But this was the original document after we had spent probably 4 or 5 months looking for what the game was we were going to make. And it was like, holy shit, yeah, let's lock Greek mythology. But before we locked this, we were like, it was kind of like a buffet. It was like, Jaffe, what do you want to make? The team was finishing up, what's it called? They were finishing up Kinetica, but localization, and they were working on the engine. And so I had a couple of months. And so these were my notes of trying to figure out what the fuck I wanted to do. Obviously, at the very top of the list, you see it was originally a first-person shooter. S is wrong, but it was a first-person Greek mythology in dark, bloody gladiator style. So that was clearly in my head early on. Let me get the chat back. The chat just the YouTube chat just vanished, but it's a memory thing. I got to get more memory on my computer. I thought I had like a shit ton, but I guess not. Anyway, okay. So these were some of the ideas. I'm not going to go through everything. I hate when people PowerPoint things and just read it to you, but I'll show you some of the ones that might be worth, paying attention to and checking out. So yeah, like I said, there was I liked this idea of taking Shining Force, that game on Sega, like a turn-based strategy, but doing it with an aircraft carrier that was commissioned in 1940 for the war, and it went through the life of the aircraft carrier from 1940 to 2080, so 120 years before it gets destroyed. And it was sort of about the various men and women and robots and whatever who served on that carrier. So that was in the running. There was a mountain climbing game. I had a high school adventure game. I wanted to get the freaks and geek guys, or a guy that only people from the 80s know, Savage Steve Holland, to maybe write it with me. But ultimately, Greek mythology won out. Oh, here is one called Tombs, Time, and Treasure, which was a 3 time periods. You could build tombs back in the day, you could discover the tombs, or you could raid the tombs. So you were playing at the same time on all different, whatever. But this was the process, though. I'm looking at my floor because it's just covered now with, I saved all this stuff, and the process was I would sit there, I would put on music, probably, if I remember correctly, it was like the Scorpion King soundtrack, the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, the Mummy Returns soundtrack, and I would just blue sky all day long. And and it was originally going to be a 2-year project, but you can see 2-year project idealist. Sci-fi shooter, nurture a ship, upgrade the ship over time, join with others a la Voltron. But ultimately, the Greek thing kept coming back up. Greek myth version of Unreal, simple full first-person shooter single player, maybe internet co-op, great deathmatch. Question, can we do a simple version of FPS a la GoldenEye in this day and age? Blah, blah, so all of this. And if people want these, I can upload these to the Discord if you're interested in this kind of stuff. Devil May Cry, DMC plus Eco in a Greek mythology theme. This was kind of when we were getting closer and distilling it down. This was GTA meets Greek myths. For a while, we were thinking maybe we should make it open world, because that was, and that's what you do when you start a game. You don't know. I remember we started Twisted Metal and we were in production. It's like, what do you do in this game? It seems so obvious now, but this, back in the very beginning, we were like, is it like GTA? Is it like Maximo or Crash, where you're just going down a tunnel? What exactly is the structure of this game? Let me ask you guys in the Discord, should we move forward faster, or is this kind of stuff interesting? Because I don't want to bore people if it's, and I won't take it personal.
No, this is interesting.
Okay, what about you other guys, though? Because I don't want people to be like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I would ask the other guy, but I don't, who is this? What is
about it?
What is your name?
Wicked.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought, but it just says W. Oh, I can disable the stream. I can disable the stream remote. Now I got it. Wicked. There you go. All right. A couple other real quick then. So we had like Devil May Cry, but we were going to do it in two different. I mean, I say we, like the whole studio was in on this. I could probably go back today and ask them to say, what the fuck are you talking about? But these were ideas that I was, looking to spark something with. So you started as an archaeologist and you dug underground and you found this kind of Greek myth temple, whatever, that had been lost to history. And then the game kept switching between 2 times, modern day tomb raiding and kind of being a Greek hero back in the day. There was a version here, play as Medusa, a centaur, a soldier, the Kraken, Harpy. It's kind of like Jagged Alliance, and you switch between each character. And you were going to have a microphone, and because SOCOM was out with the microphone thing, and it was like, oh, you could talk to these characters. I don't fucking know. I was just writing stuff down. I wasn't on drugs. I hadn't done marijuana yet. This was a version that was the big open world version. Like, okay, here's one of our big maps. It's the Trojan War, and here's all the various things you have to do to complete it. It wasn't ever going to play like a Misu game, like a Dynasty Warriors, but there was a sense of that kind of, we're going to let you run in this mini open world, and as long as you do these checklist of things in any order, in any way, it was a lot more about the freedom, and it was less cinematic, I guess, at the time. Different stories. Like I said, I can put these up on the Discord, but I'm just going to read you the first one. Because as I wrote up here, I'm like, kill gods or not? Is this the type of story I want? We had no real idea. But, you'll see things that continued to make their way ultimately into the final game. So the main story beats at some point. We open on a battlefield. The Greeks are slaughtered by a mystery figure. We kind of get that with Ares and Athens. The hero is given a map to Pandora's box, the only hope for Greeks. That kind of landed early. The quest for the box, the hero goes after the box, has flashbacks of childhood along the way, is tracked by the mystery figure here and there. He finds the box. Mystery figure shows up, reveals himself to hero. No, it can't be you. I don't fucking know. Oh, I think this was the brother. Flashback, brothers separated as kids. Kratos had a brother that was separated from him by the Spartan warriors. This is in canon now, and the brother was left to die in the woods, and he became evil and came back to fight. So the evil brother kills the hero. The brother's head is shown to Greeks. Evil brother slaughters the Greeks, uses box to kill gods. Evil brother shoots down Apollo. The world goes dark. Brother begins his march on Olympus. In the distance, we see a flying figure with the glowing box. Hades. Hero sees the future. World is destroyed. Persephone shows hero the way out. You fight your way out of Hades. You exit out of Hades. You get the Titan box. You transform into a Titan. You climb or fly up Olympus. The gods are dying on Olympus. The hero fights his way to the peak. Titan versus Titan, brother versus brother. The brothers saved. The Titans are trapped again. Hero redeemed for past actions. So that was going to be, there's a lot in there that is still accurate. Obviously, it changed a lot. And this, I know I have this whole list somewhere. This was early days of the internet where we were trying to name the character. We knew he wasn't going to be Dominus. And I wish I could find all of it for today's stream, because I bet you Kratos, because it is a Greek name. This was male Greek names. We just went to a website for baby names, and we were just kind of going through the ones that might be a good hero name. Alistair looked like that was in the running. Alistair was in the running. But I'm sure Kratos was in there, and we just didn't see it. It just didn't pop, but that was part of that. Okay, so now let's talk about the Hydra level, which is what we're going to play in just a few minutes. I have ADD, as people who watch this channel know, scorching ADD, but also I loved the way the James Bond movies opened and the Raiders movies. And the Raiders movies were designed to open like the James Bond movies, so it's really the James Bond movies, but they open in the middle, or really at the climax of a story that's already been told that we haven't seen. So they grab you right away. And a lot of people have taken that, because I love that, and I still want games to do that, to think everything I do or everything I play, it's only good if it opens with an action sequence. And that is not the case. I just need something to be interesting. It can be talky talk. It can, as much as I didn't have the patience to play through all of Death Stranding 1, it was one of the few times I didn't have a problem with Kojima opening with a pretty fucking long cutscene, because it was really interesting. But most games, I thought, opened pretty dull, and I wanted to kind of follow this pattern, because I loved that it's like, fuck it, we're in, go. And it's like, oh shit, I guess the game started. I love that. So that was the inspiration for that. Now this image, I'm almost certain this is the image. My ex-wife was struggling to breastfeed our first kid. And I remember sitting in this rocking chair we had in our bedroom, and I was trying to be very, supportive and there for her, and there obviously for little Sarah, the baby. But I also had to get back to the team and say, here's the Hydra level. What is the boss? And, so one of these two is the first image I ever drew, if you want to call this drawing, of the Hydra. But all of these, you can tell, here we are sacrificing someone, climbing. We had the nets. I was already kind of drawing the Hydra stuff up here. You'll see a lot, sacrificing. This was something we didn't put in, but where you throw people into the mouths of the Hydra to sacrifice people to it so you could, defeat it. There were going to be whirlpools. It was going to hold a Triton at one point. All of it. I mean, again, I could go through all this stuff, but it's the bigger point is that there was just a lot of processing and thought and trying to figure out what exactly is compelling about this and what is fun about this. Here it is. This is you killing the Hydra. I think you had to save Poseidon at some point. Pegasus was going to be here. Whirlpools, crushing rocks, Siren's Cove. And then what you'll see in just a minute when we start playing, even this, animations on baby harpies that make you feel bad for killing them. I don't think you felt bad for them, but we were kind of hoping we could communicate that the enemies weren't just kind of mindless sort of zombie enemies, but that, I don't think that came through. This you'll see though. Archers, if they see you, they unleash hard relentless. There's a reload time good for advancing, and you'll see a puzzle in the Hydra level where that does actually become what happens. This was me looking at structure. I just noticed this. Try Zelda Medieval. Those were two games that were pretty inspirational. This was just a note I saw. I thought it was funny because I was like, I didn't think this game was going to work, and we were in the middle of production when I was designing the Hydra, and I'm like, I suck at this job. What else am I good at? And I'm like, I'm good at debating, I'm good at logic, I'm good at selling and pitching, and I'm like, oh, I could be a radio host, which is actually kind of what I somewhat do now, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, whatever. Okay, the future of God of War. We're about to start the Hydra level. The future of God of War. Now, I don't know what's happening with God of War. I know that there's almost certainly going to be a follow-up to Ragnarok. The rumor is Egypt. There have been many rumors about a remake or a remaster. I don't know. I can't imagine we're going to see anything at the Game Awards in a couple of days, but you never fucking know. But I did want to show this because when I saw this, because I had been thinking, okay, you got to do a remaster because we're going to be playing the Hydra level streaming to my PS5 on PlayStation Premium because that's the only fucking way I can get it unless I want to go hunt down a PS2, maybe 3 or whatever. So no, but I definitely think there needs to be a remaster. But when I started looking at this guy, I don't think he's ever going to finish. It took him forever to do this, but it's impressive. He tweeted this out. He has a big video up about it if you want to watch. But he basically remade... Here, I'll show you. So this is all real time.
Let the rage of the gods drive your blades, Kratos.
But here's this part coming up that really inspired me. Right here. So this does not happen in the game right now. Right? He sees the Hydra. But he's about to leap for it. And so, I loved that. I love seeing this and going, and I'm not saying Sony's going to do this, but I think I would love to see a remaster remake. I don't want to see a total full remake of it. But if you basically took 70% remaster and 30% remake, like add a section now. Like after he fights those guys, he does go to fight the Hydra. And maybe he has a little success, but he gets his ass kicked, thrown back into the boat. But that's like a new little chunk that we make, right? Or a new, 2 new bosses or whatever. But it's all seamlessly integrated because in the actual level you're about to see, after this happens, he fights and drops down into that hole. I don't even think you've seen the Hydra up until that point. So I don't know what the future holds for this, but I think that would be pretty gosh darn cool. I would be really interested in that. Okay. So
can I throw in a question?
Yeah, anytime you want. So in fact, that is sort of my opening presentation. Let's chat a bit if you have any questions or thoughts, and then we'll start playing the Hydra level. What do you got?
Yeah, so when you have your notes on ideas for a level, so you've got, we'll throw guys into the Hydra's mouth, we'll climb up these sails, etc. Right. These notes, exactly what's on screen right now. The question that comes to my mind is, what's the judgment process behind whether or not these get made or not? Like, do you go to the level designers and the programmers and say, hey, is this technically plausible? Or is it still within the creative sphere?
Well, so it depends. I don't go to them with every idea because these are like brain dump ideas. And from this, I would take some time after and go, okay, I must have enough. I must have all the ingredients of the recipe. Now I'm going to spend a couple of days just really trying to cut stuff, add stuff, put stuff in the right order, and see if we have anything. And in that, then I would go to the programmers, the artists, kind of the key leads of the team and go, on a whiteboard, here's kind of my rough take of what the level would be. And then it would go to them. I'd get their feedback, whether it's feasible, whether they have a better idea, whether they think something's stupid and I need to fix something because it's dumb, or because art-wise they love it, but they'd rather draw this or model this. And I'm like, oh, I could put, so there's a real collaborative modeling of that first draft. And then it goes back to me and I tighten it up. And there's probably 2 or 3 of those iterations. And then it's like, okay, let's give this to level designers to actually build out, a gray sheet map with no art or anything. And then we'll play it, see how the pacing feels, the timing feels. And then it just starts, it's like you're adding every couple of days, you're adding more on top of it until you have the final level.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now, I will say, though, this is a level that there's a guy named Scott Rogers, and I think he's working at a toy company now, but he's designed some really cool and I think successful board games. He was one of the key designers on Maximo. We had him employed on God of War, not for very long. It just wasn't, I guess it wasn't the world's best match, but he's a good guy, talented guy. And he did a lot of the work on this level as well. And I think I probably went to him with all of this stuff in that kind of whittled down version. And then he probably took it and actually mapped out the specifics. And then it would come back to me and I'd say, okay, I like this, I don't like that. I still to this day think I'm the one that came up with the part of Kratos being in the mouth of the Hydra. And he says, no, I got that from my love of Peter Pan. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure I got that from like a horror movie or something. So, I mean, the classic statement is, success has a million fathers and failures an orphan. So, I think there's enough credit to go around, but it was that was specifically how this worked. K-Nubs in the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, it broke my heart that God of War 2018 was higher on IGN's viewer list of games of the century than any of the OG God of War trilogy games. Yeah, it's not a real thing though, K-Nubs. It's in 15 years, it'll be something else. And somebody who was your age when they played 2018 and they're your age now will go, that broke my heart. There's no real, a lot of these guys don't have a sense of history of the medium. And it doesn't even mean that it should have been higher, but it's kind of a meaningless thing. I like our Greek games better than the new ones for sure, but obviously I'm pretty fucking biased. Okay. All right, let us get the game rolling now. Yes, that is my desktop. I was very insistent that this opening you're about to see, and I remember this being a real challenge for the team, but this thing, having Kratos right here, and what you'll notice is right when you hit new game, it doesn't go to a cutscene. There is going to be a cutscene, but at first we pull back, the fire goes down, and he's standing on the cliff. It's all real time because I wanted it to feel kind of operatic, like the fire is almost a curtain and now we're telling our myth, we're telling our story. And I don't think I didn't need people to, and there you go. So from there, we dive into the entire Hydra level, going behind the scenes, talking about inspirations, talking about mistakes, talking about things I would improve, things I would not change that I still love, a lot of behind the scenes, kind of like, remember the DVD director commentary from back in the day? That's what this is. If you want to see the whole thing, it's up right now. The Hydra level is up right now for members of all tiers, and we will be getting to the second level, the Arrival in Athens, probably in about 2 or 3 weeks. And every week or so we do something for members. So keep an eye on it. Consider a membership. And yeah, there you go, man. Hope you're having a good day. Be well, be safe, and I'll talk to you later.